This is The Baseline, discussing the hot button topics of the NBA.
Welcome, everybody. You're tuned to The Baseline. Cal Lee Warrenshaw discussing the hot button topics of the NBA. Guns out, funds out, as we start hitting down those final weeks of NBA basketball, somewhere in the range of maybe about 18, less than 20 games left to go. All of these teams in the East and Western conferences jockeying for position. And then, you got a couple of stragglers around there who are just trying to look nice enough to act like they want to finish this season, but really already have their minds made up about where they want to be come NBA draft time. So without further ado, let me go ahead and roll out the red carpet to my right-hand man, www.shawsports.net, Big Kahuna PNC. Rolling like the entourage of LeBron James, my man, Warren Shaw, ripping out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Holla back at me, Mr. Shaw. Are you flexing like our man LBJ?
Well, I ain't, tying or passing Michael Jordan on an all-time scoring list or nothing like that, but feeling pretty good nonetheless, man, because I feel really good about our show, place it is in the NBA space right now. All of our wonderful fans and listeners, our amazing intern, Andrew Frost, as well, too. So it's a good spot. And as always, salute to all the fans listeners of NBA Baseline. I think it's going to be a good one, man.
Oh, we must be doing something right. You name dropping all over the place. I might have to rename you the game by the time this is all said and done. So as my man Shaw has alluded to, and we have got a great show on tap. Obviously, the big topic of conversation is a landmark achievement in NBA annals. LeBron James passing the great Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And while we're on the subject of passing, we might have to talk about what might be happening with the Los Angeles Lakers' future in the NBA and the NBA playoffs. So that is definitely going to be on the topic of the breakdown. And then our subject of the drop, my man Shaw has this idea, this epiphany. There's an awakening happening out of the ATL that might shake up the Rookie of the Year race between Trae Young and the Don, Luka Doncic. So Shaw and I might get at each other a little bit, how it might be too little too late, but it still marks for some great convo. So big show on tap. And once again, we always appreciate you and yours for tuning into the Baseline NBA podcast. Be sure to get at my man Shaw at Shaw Sports NBA or get at me at GameFaceLee. The show's Twitter handle at NBA Baseline. You know where to find us and you know where we be. So we always encourage you to download any platform that you use to listen to podcasts. Load up the Baseline NBA podcast. Throw your headphones on, kick back, relax, allow us to give you the butter goods discussing the hot button topics of the NBA. You can also catch us on Dash Radio through the Nothing But Net Radio Network. Basketball talk 24/7. Catch the Baseline NBA podcast Tuesday mornings, 9 a.m. Allow us to be your morning ride to get you live for the NBA. You know how we do. You know how we roll. Let's talk LBJ on the breakdown. Time to break it down. Time now for the breakdown. Cal Lee Warrenshaw of the Baseline NBA podcast. And our topic of conversation for the breakdown is in regards to LeBron James, who has passed Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list. And look, this is all about this boy who quickly became a man in 2003. And I don't know what was going on in your world, Shaw, in 2003. In 2003, in my world, I was just hoping that I could figure out some way to graduate college. In 2003, though, for people who are following the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs acquired their second NBA title with some dude named Tim Duncan. The Syracuse Orange Men won the basketball championship, which we then began the dawning of the Bron-Melo relationship heading into the NBA draft. In 2003, the Detroit Shock won the WNBA Finals. But 2003 also marked the NBA draft, an elite class of athletes. And among those, the boy who would become king, who would be the King Arthur of the NBA over the next 15 years and counting. And the other night, he decided to knock another person off the list and really shake up the conversation to people. I don't know why. about the greatness of LeBron James. I think everybody knew that LeBron James is great, right?
You would hope so.
Yeah, if not, better catch a clue. hopefully they catch the clue a lot longer than it took for me to graduate in college. But no, seriously, all things considered, LeBron James with a hellified achievement, passing Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list. And I guess it speaks more to the point about where LeBron James is, that we can actually start setting realistic expectations about where he might wind up being on the all-time scoring list when this is all said and done. The proficiency and the efficiency of how he's played the game of basketball over the last 15 years, I think speaks volumes about how athletes take themselves seriously, not just from a marketing perspective, Shaw, but also from a longevity perspective. Whether or not anybody behind LeBron James is quick to, I mean, we can talk about Kevin Durant. I think he's probably the next dude up per se to really kind of knock off big names in that top 5 category of all-time scoring. But when you talk about the realistic expectations of people being able to climb that ladder, LeBron James really set the mark. And by knocking Michael Jordan off, I think he kind of supplanted himself about where we realistically see him falling over, between the next 3 dudes that are still in his path.
Well, no doubt. It's really interesting when you talk about LeBron. You can talk about the scoring, you know what I mean? And remember, I think when he came into the league, everybody, to a man said his best attribute was his physicality, but his ability to pass and see the floor. And here we are now, 16 years in or whatever it is, and we're talking about him passing Michael Jordan, who is heralded by many as really, truly the best scorer. Didn't obviously play as many years as Kareem, and Karl Malone. And remember, Jordan left and played baseball, and had that hiatus for a little while as well too. But here we are now about this talking about LeBron passing Michael Jordan. Got Kobe and Karl Malone on his sites, up next as well too. So I think his legacy is one that is going to permeate well beyond his years. And I'm sure we'll be hearing about LeBron well past him being an NBA player, because he'll probably still be around the game as an owner or some form of fashion. But it really is proof positive to a guy, despite what you may think about him, his leadership style, whatever the case would be, his numbers are undeniable. And when you just kind of look at it holistically, a lot of the numbers are kind of jaw dropping. Like, the scoring be damned. I mean, that's amazing as it is, but he's got like some crazy stats. I think his plus minus, I think is first all time, in terms of like him being on the floor, like he's like the most valuable player, kind of in NBA history when it comes to something like that. Like those are crazy stats to me when you think about stuff like that too, when it comes to LeBron James.
I think the thing that really sticks out for me when I think about LeBron is his efficiency. He's been the scoring champion only but one time in this 15-year span. And when you start talking about guys who are going to be on this list, they have to be among the top scorers in the NBA for a consistent period of time. Now, it comes naturally if you're a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, if you're a Karl Malone. I think what the expectations were for LeBron James and the dynamic of where the NBA was shifting to, a lot of people would have probably said in that time frame that they would rather take LeBron, less of the scorer and more of the distributor, and probably would say that he would win more championships than Michael Jordan would have, given his skill set. And now you can look at him and see, he's capable of doing whatever it is that he really, really wanted to do. And maybe part of that mentality lessened the intensity that I think would have perpetuated him to this level a lot faster, which is freakish, which is like crazy in itself, right? Like, how many years did LeBron James go through that spell of not being the king, looking to behead the throne, to dominate, to start this empirical, mantra of his own? It took Dwayne Wade to shove him through that door. And then we began to see the over aggressive LeBron, the killer LeBron go out there and do damage. You know what I'm saying? I think some years were robbed of us of seeing that kind of elite play from him because it was within him. He just didn't know how to pull it out of him, which is why we herald the great so vastly more. I think at times, you know, to a degree, that we're maybe shoning LeBron, but I don't think it's intentional. I just think when you're used to seeing a player who already had it in him and goes out and just displays it, rather than this Marvel comic like, you got to find your inner self. You got to find your Captain Marvel before it all comes together. That to me, if that was already there for LeBron, I think he would have already been on this list a lot sooner.
Well, yeah, I can see that, and I think there was a little bit of hesitancy early on in his career, because I don't know. Some people say like people thought he maybe wanted to be liked a little bit, and maybe even more so by his teammates. He didn't have that uber aggressive, didn't have the confidence in his jumper early on. But he was just as physical as you could ever want to be. Was able to get to the basket, dunk and finish in traffic and all of those things. And as years progressed, as he got to Miami, became an NBA champion, had one of his most efficient seasons. I think that second year in NBA, second and third years in Miami. Where again he was just hitting everything, hitting threes efficiently, hitting mid-range jumpers efficiently, just truly an MVP in all sense of the form. But again, holistically, LeBron's overall all-around game is what has made him great, and the fact that all of his skills complement each other allows him to kind of achieve this success kind of across the board. While we talk about this scoring icon and momentous occasion, you look, he's 20th all time in 3-pointers made. Would you ever? I mean, you don't think about LeBron James as like a knockdown or a 3-point shooter, but just the body and the volume of work, he's 20th all time in that statistic. And that's surprising to me. You know what I mean? Because I just don't think him and think threes. He's 10th all time in assists, which, all right, you see that makes some sense. But there's just so many things that kind of embody what he's done and what he means to the NBA, good and bad. I think, and I think there's definitely some chinks in the armor here in LeBron. And when it comes to the miscellaneous and the intangibles, I think at times, especially maybe right now in this later stage with LA Lakers, as they struggle a little bit, but holistically, as I keep saying, he has a complete body of work that anybody, no matter what you may think of him, can be proud of. And what he did, and even how he did it, scoring a left-hand layup to pass Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? It's just, again, just goes to the many varieties of ways that he's been able to score and get his shot off in the NBA.
Now, I don't want to be controversial with you, Shaw, but how genuine do you think LeBron felt about passing Michael Jordan? And I know if people hear me asking that question, they think that I'm trying to drum up some drama. I'm really not. I think, what's so interesting to me at times is great players really and very rarely stop to even acknowledge and check, themselves when they do something, monumental. And
Yeah.
I guess in this climate of greatness right now, because there are a plethora of players right now that are just doing great things. They're shattering the norms. We get caught up in their glamour and glitz, off the court stuff, but they're doing great things on the basketball court that I don't think gets as much mention because it's not being polarized as much as I think it should be. When we get back to that point, I think we can begin to appreciate the Russell Westbrooks, the James Hardens, the Steph Currys, the Kevin Durant's, and the LeBron James. And in the midst of that, right? Usually, if a person like LeBron James goes out and does something like this, he stands kind of on his own, right? Like the NBA kind of comes to a standstill. They're frozen in this moment. But because of the busyness that's taking place in this generation, it's almost as if we just fly by it. And that's the reason why I kind of am asking that question about, this is something where I think LeBron James, and it definitely showed in LeBron James, where he's taking a moment to absorb that 15 years of laboring just to figure out that you're at this stage. So no matter what happens, with the rest of his career, this within his own personal moment has more of a feeling of a genuine feel to me that he really now understands. maybe that's what it takes. Maybe, for a guy like Kobe Bryant, what was his moment where he could, because remember, he was the Mamba. Like, you tell him he do it, but it was only like until 48 hours later, or his wife or somebody said, dude, do you know what you just did? And then he acknowledges it. Like with LeBron, I don't know if whether or not, I think that moment was when he helped Cleveland win the championship, but that was more team. In that time span, he's been doing a whole lot of individual stuff that I've never seen him take a moment to kind of absorb it and be like, damn, I just did some ish. You know what I mean?
Well, let's unpack that here a little bit. I think I saw the moment, the breath that he took initially, and everyone's like he's overcome with emotion and the whole nine. And then there were some critics who came out. I was like, wow, he posted his own Instagram video, about that accomplishment like an hour or so after the game or whatever. And everything he does it causes for hypersensitivity. It gets ultra magnified. I mean, even and doubly or triply so because now he's in LA, getting forcing his way, not forcing his way. He's a free agent, but leaving Cleveland for a second time and going there, and now they're struggling. So the purists, if that's what you want to call them, are upset that all right, well now they finally have the great LeBron James, and he's going to miss the playoffs for the first time since he was rookie. I believe it is, right, or that's what it's looking like. So now he's gone to self-appreciation in some ways, and I think he's in his rights, in essence, to do so. And the timing of it, the genuineness of it, I think there's reason for pause, and I think there's reason for question. But again, I'm just going to allow the man his moment, given what it is, and obviously this is not something any NBA player can go out there and do. But I do see why there's some questions. But right now you're playing with a fan base that is extremely sensitive and has a lot of high expectations. So they don't care about your accomplishments. They don't care that you're probably going to catch Kobe in a Laker uniform. They care about, hey, are you finding us a way to get banner 17, banner 18, and so forth and so forth. And right now, whether you believe it's his fault or not, that's not happening with LA. And I think that's what the focus is. It's kind of on outside of his accomplishment with MJ.
So how does he parse that? Right? Like, again, I go back to this part. We talked about this. Was this the best move for LeBron James? Because at the end of the day, right? It's kind of like what happened with Alex Rodriguez when he came to the New York Yankees. Everybody knew that he was going to do something great, and everybody knew that he was going to probably break some significant Major League Baseball records while being a New York Yankee. The authenticity of him breaking those records, though, to your point, the pure Yankees fans, and the fact that, there was really no true relationship, what I'm saying, between him and Derek Jeter. There was professional, cordial get alongness going on, but everybody knew, the captain for that team is Derek Jeter, right? And so you take a guy like LeBron James, knowing that there are achievements in his purview that he is going to break. Would the Los Angeles Lakers be the best place suited for him to maximize appreciating that? And I know guys like him don't truly, I don't know, maybe they do consider it. You know what I'm saying? It's just funny because in any other scenario or situation that would be ideal for an achievement like this, the setup would be perfect. Like, it would just already be get ready to put a statue out in the front of the arena for this dude type of thing, because you're literally passing a landmark that is set by the greatest player of all time, and that's supposed to have some type of levity to this situation. But here now, to your point, Shaw, if we're unpacking it, we could be unpacking it so that we're packing up LeBron's ish and sending him to the next place that he could actually go and be happy about these type of achievements on.
Man, well, it's funny you say it that way, because I think after not the most recent loss, a loss previously early in the week, and I was just like, take a look, tweet it out, take a look at the Lakers and LeBron's mentions right now on social media. And the vitriol was apocalyptic. Like, really and truly, people talking about trade this bum. We don't need him. Can Kobe come back? And this, that, and the third.
And it's not the numbers that are dictating that, Shaw. It's not the numbers, right? It ain't like LeBron is going out there and just stinking up the joint or just making egregious errors in the fourth quarter of games that is preventing them from essential W's to get, to be in the playoff picture, right? Like he's doing the kind of numbers that he did when he first was a Cleveland Cavalier, right? Some 15 years or in seasoned in this league where are people on the decline of their career. He's doing this type of stuff. It's just that for that Cleveland Cavaliers team, it somehow propelled them to get into the playoffs that second year around. And for the Lakers, it does nothing for them because they can't even, no matter how great he plays, the rest of everything for the Lakers just does not go their way. They're not getting in the playoffs. And it just makes you wonder.
And I think the second part of all of that is the fact that the way he's led this team, throwing guys under the bus as well, and talking about their toughness. Is basketball? Do they really want to do this? If basketball is the main thing, and this is coming from a guy who is obviously well accomplished, so he can kind of say what he wants, but it's one of those situations like everyone realizes he moved to LA to start the next phase of his career. So while he's more skilled than your average bear, so to speak, and can multitask and do everything that's necessary to still play great statistically on the floor and still have all those outside, entities and movie deals and TV shows, the barbershop and whatever else. And these other young guys can't, but it comes off as inauthentic. As a result, was like, all right, we'll do it here. You moved to LA to be a friggin' movie star, to have all these outside interests. So how are you trashing these young guys who are looking up to you now, who have looked up to you before you got here? And I feel like everyone realizes, hey, it ain't as sweet as they thought it was going to be. And that's why you'll probably see some major changes with the Lakers going into this.
But you know what it is, though, Shaw? You know what the problem is for me is I wanted LeBron to be authentic, right? Like LeBron is saying all the right things in the wrong moment. This moment of, hey, I'm all about basketball. I'm all about, this team winning and all this other kind of stuff. To me, it sounds like when Trump talks, right? Like you already know there's really very little truth to that. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not at that place. You know what I'm saying? And most of the people that are in that organization, minus the Buss family and Magic Johnson, don't know what that feels like. They don't know what it's like to hoist a trophy or to be responsible for helping a team hoist a trophy, right? So my whole thing would have been, it's all right. 15 years ago, that would have been blasphemous to say, hey, man, I want to help rebuild the brand for the Los Angeles Lakers. You know what I'm saying? It's all right if you're saying that I'm a number one athlete. You know what I'm saying? Because no matter what you'd say or do at this moment in time, it's always going to cause commotion and controversy and talk. So I get it. You're trying to do it the PR way. You're trying to, sound politically correct and all this other kind of stuff. But we're in this day and age where anything you say and everything you do is taboo. I feel like it caught him up more and the authenticity of his intentions. Now, as it unravels that this is not a good basketball team, people start drawing the inferences of the LeBron Jameses when he sacrificed in order for the greater good to win that first championship when he was with, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and then how he helped lead a young, group of unknow-it-alls in a Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love and helped them win a championship, took a band of misfits like Richard Jefferson and J.R. Smith and these boys, helped them win a championship. And then you take this scenario here with a lot of knuckleheads. And I'll even include my boy Rajon Rondo, because while he can be a hardhead at times, he is by far one of the most intelligent basketball people. But if with that intelligence comes chaos, right? You know what I mean? All of that, and he can't get these guys to play at least 500 basketball in a major market like this. He's going to get scrutinized. Everything's going to get peeled, right? Every layer of him is going to get peeled. And I feel like then that diminishes the authenticity because we all knew why he was coming to Los Angeles. I just wish he had owned it up front because he's one of the few players that can do that. Him, Kevin Durant, you know what I'm saying? Steph Curry, if they came out authentically and said what that was on their minds about them making a move somewhere. Klay Thompson can get away with doing that. You know what I'm saying? That's just the climate. I'm not saying everybody, but when guys have established themselves, you can be real with how you are about what your intentions are, whether it's 90% business, 10% game. Just know that if you don't step up, you're going to catch, the backlash from it. And I think maybe that's weighing on LeBron James as much as it is the fact that he can't get these guys to go out there and win games.
Well, maybe. I feel like, at some point, everybody, no matter how great you are, you're kind of faced with your own mortality, so to speak. And while the game is still very much in LeBron James' palm, so to speak, and able to put up great numbers, we all know he's slipped some defensively. Some would say a lot defensively. But also, I think we're in an era now where you can't really mask and puppeteer in the way that it's not going to be exposed. And I don't care what anybody says. LeBron has done that the majority part of his career. He's had management kind of, had them by the stranglehold, waiting on pins and needles for what his decision was going to be. We've all heard all the conversations about whether or not he's really the GM of basketball teams and organizations anyway. And I just feel like he might have overestimated his own celebrity, so to speak, by when coming to LA and figuring, okay, well, I can bring in another band of misfit veteran guys, and say, well, it's not necessarily about winning right now. We have a long way to go. He said some of the right things to begin the year when it came to that stuff, right? But then as they started off and struggled, it's like, oh, I was about to blow. Then Luke Walton gets called into the principal's office. And all these things happen because LeBron James is on your team. The expectations can never just be, all right, we're just going to work through it and we're just going to be okay. So I'm not even talking about any of the off the court stuff and, some of the real crux and reasons why he got there. If we're just keeping it to basketball, he was disingenuous about that. You know what I mean? I think even, and again, because he thought he could, and because he's gotten away with it, he could puppeteer the situation. And it's backfired in a way that has the Lakers now almost firmly out of the playoffs. Guys kind of like, not really playing for each other that much. And now we're in a situation where he's going to be potentially shutting it down, where he's only going to not going to play in back-to-back games anymore. Unless something miraculous happens, the Clippers and Spurs, go on a 10-game losing streak and they go like on an 8-game winning streak, then maybe he ramps it back up again. But right now, we're seeing them trying to down throttle here a little bit as a result of all the mishandling and all the BS that's happened in the Lakers organization this entire season.
If you had to make a comparison of players, of how he's handled it, do you think it's more? Do you think it's more, dare I say, Kyrie than Kobe? Because maybe that is part of where the vitriol is also stemming from as well too. Lakers fans got spoiled.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this real quick.
Yeah.
I say with what you're saying with Lakers fans, I think they probably view it more as Kyrie than Kobe. Mm-hmm. Whether it actually is or isn't, it doesn't matter. But remember, he's walked into a situation where he's not automatically the franchise's greatest player. Everywhere he went, you can maybe say with the exception of Miami, I guess you can say, but everyone knew he was better than Wade when he got there, right? So even with that, so it automatically became his team. And while no one's disputing who the undisputed leader of the Lakers is right now, the Lakers lore, the aura, all the history, especially with Kobe just not that far removed, that wasn't a battle he could potentially win unless he got them to the playoffs and like competing for a finals, in his first year. So he walked into it. And so to your question, I feel like people look at that situation, Lakers fans specifically, are thinking, all right, this guy is not that great of a leader. He's not as dope as we thought he was looking at him from afar.
I mean, listen, you bring up an excellent point. I think that's what kind of, veered my curiosity of your take on that, because I do feel like, people got it's interesting. When people get bit by the Mamba mentality, it metastasizes to something much further. that maybe LeBron didn't, understand or realize. I think when people want to see a player take over, they want to see a takeover like a Kobe takeover, right? In Los Angeles, than a LeBron takeover. And those are just two wayward, philosophies that is quickly now rearing its ugly head because now people are going to start to question what the next 4 years are going to be like with LeBron James.
Hmm.
So now this brings us to the central question that that we're posing here. Was this considered a wasted season for LeBron James and for the Los Angeles Lakers? I know it's definitely a wasted season for Luke Walton. And I think, if anything, this probably will be his last season as the head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. I sincerely believe that. I hate saying that because number one, I want Luke Walton to go somewhere to thrive and be a legitimate, respected head coach. I thought it was a mistake for him to take this job with the Los Angeles Lakers, but you know what? I get it. And sometimes you even believe that you can fix anything too. Um, but it's hard for me to see that he's going to remain there. I don't see a genuine relationship between him and LeBron James, and I don't see a genuine relationship between him, Pelinka, and Magic Johnson, which is what's prompting me to, to kind of veer in that direction a little bit about, what stays, what doesn't stay, if we're saying that the Lakers season was a wasted one.
Well, the report has already come out that most general managers figure Luke Walton will be fired the day after the regular season. You know what I mean? Like, what is it, Black Monday in the NFL? Like, whatever it is in the NBA, like Walton can pretty much pack his bags. Like, there's little to no chance that he will
Oh
return
yeah, his dad,
and even make it.
his dad got the cannabis tree growing,
Yeah,
and like real quick.
I mean,
He's like, I got a hammock waiting for you, son. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna pop them rings.
but I think Luke will probably get another chance somewhere else, whatever the case
Oh,
may
I
be,
have
and
no
maybe
doubt.
even if he has to,
I have no
yeah,
doubt.
even if he has to, take an assistant role again and work his way back up, so to speak, because I think the rest of the league understands what it is to manage and try to coach and work with LeBron James. I think that that's no longer a secret. That is a diva of all divas, and you understand that. So not everybody's built for that, and I'm not knocking the job Luke Walton has done, but clearly, if LeBron's unhappy, well, Magic and Palinka are going to listen to that. And clearly, as we just alluded to, nothing that's not a situation that's going the way they wanted to. So yeah, Luke is going to be out of there, but he'll catch on somewhere else. But this organization, despite LeBron's overall greatness and what he's achieved, is just not up to snuff. And we really will have to see what ends up happening if other teams and players. Or sorry, well, let's talk about that too, because there was a report, that Genie Buzz says that teams are out there sabotaging the Lakers now, and as everything about this is starting to turn messy. It's becoming just like the ultimate ish show right now as Lakers again fall
I
out of
can't
playoff
I can't
contention.
I can't stand that. Listen, there's only one conspiracy theory that needs to be you know what I'm saying, roaming around the NBA, right? And that comes from me. Jeannie Buss don't need it. She needs to stay in her lane. You know what I'm saying? And basically own teams. You know what I'm saying? Carry the Bus legacy. Don't be throwing out some crazy nonsense about, oh, there's a conspiracy going on, against the Los Angeles Lakers. Some 20 years ago, we all were saying that there was a conspiracy, you know what I'm saying, against the Boston Celtics. I don't want to hear that crap. Um, as far as I'm concerned, though, I think she recognizes very quickly that she has to figure out a way to get her house in order because I don't think that she wants to be aligned in the same state of affairs as her brother was, right? The whole reason why she fell back, so to speak, and allowed her brother to hang himself with the franchise is because I think that she wants to show the empowerment that she knows what she's doing, that she's always known what to do with this franchise. So she needs to get her house in order real quick because a lot of people were, they were like, wow, that was such a smart, savvy move getting Magic Johnson, this, that, and the third. Hey, don't make people start rethinking about how they perceive her when she comes out and says those kind of things. And that further adds on to how quickly this could be looked at as a very disappointing season for the Los Angeles Lakers. Because again, they're not fixated on what they need to do to get their house in order. They're too busy out there castigating other thoughts and processes about what's stopping them from doing what they should be already been naturally doing to begin with. So
All right. Well, and that's really and truly like we've talked a lot about over the years Lakers exceptionalism, where it's just the fact that it's because it's the Lakers. Oh, things are going to go their way. Players are going to come there, and we've realized in the last couple of seasons, okay, well, it hasn't been the case. So they got the biggest fish, arguably, to send Shaq basically to come to sign there in LeBron, and so, all right, well, everything is going to be fine, and now we're back to being on top. Well, now it's not as sweet as I thought it was going to be. All right, well, now we're going to conjure some spells and throw some misdirection out there and try to get the "woe was me" card or whatever the case may be. Listen, the team is just not playing well. The situation, with Anthony Davis, that wasn't handled well. Trying to trade and letting it be known that you're trying to trade 8, 9 guys for Anthony Davis, and expect them to come back now and just be like, all right, well, it's all sweet. We'll band together and now we'll make this miraculous playoff run. It was all BS. It was unrealistic for them to think that was going to work itself out the way it did. So here we are now. LeBron's going to play every other game or whatever it is, and the Lakers are probably going to miss the playoffs. But we'll see how they reassess themselves, what they do in the off season, and if they are able to get players, Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Kemba Walker, whoever, are they able to get anybody to even take a damn meeting and say that, you know what, I want to play alongside LeBron James?
my final thought, because you brought up something really interesting, and I don't want to not bring put this out here, since we're recording. But much of what you were just talking about to me correlates a lot to where I think the Lakers are missing the mark. That I think is going to have a domino effect with what happens with them in the offseason and the moves that they're going to make thereafter. When Shaquille O'Neal left the Orlando Magic to come play for the Los Angeles Lakers, he knew he was going to have to play with Kobe Bryant, right? But he also was assured that he was going to be the man in Los Angeles, right? Kobe Bryant, the player that he is, knows that he wants to be a great player and he's willing to do whatever is necessary to win championships. And he found a way to balance those two things. This is something that I don't see in LeBron James as of yet, even to this day. You know, we thought that maybe that was going to be the case when he came back to Cleveland, and we quickly saw how long that kind of relationship manifested itself, where a young player is just like, I'm done playing next to you. Like, I love you, whatever. You helped me win a championship, but I can't play next to you. I can't grow with you. You know what I'm saying? To me, the interesting aspect of this is LeBron had this same opportunity with Kyle Kuzma, and where there would have been moments that I would have seen LeBron James step up and say, no, that guy who's gone and played and practiced with Kobe Bryant, who had an excellent rookie season, that guy, he can't be moved. That guy's got something. That guy looks like he should be a Laker. See, LeBron did that for none of these players. And I think that's what's going to make things difficult for him moving forward. When you're talking about other players coming to play, are they coming to play next to win and to grow? Or are they coming to be the sidekick to elevate his brand, his name, and his stature? And that to me might be the biggest struggle that the Los Angeles Lakers are going to face as they start moving towards the end of this season, off season, free agencies, drafts, that sort of thing. What kind of players are going to actually be gravitating to LeBron James? Because it ain't like no Shaq Kobe thing like you were just talking about before. And LeBron hasn't displayed that even in the 15-year tenure of his greatness. And it'll be interesting to see how management looks to put personnel around that kind of environment.
Hold on, let me, before we close it out, I just feel like, you know what, this has probably been the most Jekyll and Hyde segment we've ever had, because we started out praising and, really kind of like throwing him under the bus here a little bit. Listen, to all fans listeners, LeBron James is a great NBA player, obviously Hall of Famer, that cannot be disputed. We're just talking about where he is at right now, the state of the LA Lakers, and what his aura does to our organization. It can truly uplift or it can tear down. And right now it's tearing down.
Yeah, I mean, he is threading the needle, literally threading that needle. And we don't know what's going to get sewn together or ripped apart.
Facts.
There you go. You're tuned to the Baseline. Cal Lee, Warren Shaw, discussing the hot button topics of the NBA. This was the breakdown. Time now for the drop. Cal Lee, Warren Shaw of the Baseline NBA podcast, and our topic for the drop. Man, I thought that Dallas Mavericks Luka Doncic, aka the Don Dada, he was gonna walk away with that Rookie of the Year trophy, like easy peasy. You know, so far it's an impressive season. But somehow, some way, man, my boy Warren Shaw, you know, got to start drumming up some talk, man. Got to start, you know what I'm saying, rustling up the feathers, man. Can't keep Ish Smooth on our side of the on our neck of the woods, right? You gotta be talking about something about some boy, some Trae Young, some R&B like type basketball player dude, shoot threes and razzle dazzles, hits a couple of buzzer beaters and stuff like that, and all of a sudden now we talking about he's gonna be the Rookie of the Year candidate. You better talk me off a ledge, man. What you talking about, man?
Oh, well, I'm not talking about it. I think it's just a conversation, you know, that
with you it's always
clear.
A conversation. and then it starts to be a debate, and then it turns into a conniption, and then it's a conundrum.
Well, we'll see how far we get. You know, I think there's been what it boils down to. Trae Young he's made ground. Now, has he caught Luka? You know, I don't think that's quite the case right now. But you know, and Luka's also missed a couple of games. You know, with the next couple nagging injuries. You know, not too many. He still played 60 games up to this point right now. But I feel like we anointed Luka, and in some ways rightfully so. But Trae Young, like I said, he's made up some ground right now, up to 18 points per game, almost 8 assists, 7.7 right now when it comes to the assists right now. And this is a guy who's figured it out. That the first month and a half, 2 months of the NBA season were treacherous. They were just brutal. But basically since January, Trae Young has been playing great basketball. The Atlanta Hawks, you know, starting to click on all cylinders as much as they can, you know, for a young team that still isn't experienced and obviously is not going to be in the playoff chase, so to speak. So the guy still has the overall numbers, but I think it's just a matter of giving a little ode to Trae Young and his ability to understand the NBA game in the situation where I think Luka might be slowing down just a little bit. Trae Young is actually picking up the pace, you know, as the season winds down.
I mean, but maybe let's just put it like this. Maybe as you're saying he's picking up the pace, maybe he is an accelerated sprint right now. And the question is, can he maintain this type of sprint to the finish line? Whereas Luka has basically maintained this level. He's elevated at times, but he's very rarely fallen off. Where he has like these cliffs where he just, these streaks of games of, just shooting or having poor shooting games and things of that nature, things that, like a Trae Young can be susceptible to. Because right now, Trae Young is hot, right? I mean, he's been shooting the ball lights out. The other night, though, he had a crappy shooting game, but he still finished with like 22 points, right? But I think, to me, what I think is going to stand out is where will the Dallas Mavericks be in this? Because it's pretty safe to say that the Dallas Mavericks are not going to make the playoffs, right? There is just way too much ground to cover to get themselves in that A seed. And if you are Rick Carlisle and you're talking about the future of the Dallas Mavericks being this combination of Luka and Porzingis come next season, how much of Luka do you really need to be throwing out there on a night in, night out basis? Now, the vanity of the project, so to speak, is giving him the opportunities to flourish and to have a great body of work that doesn't make there be any question that he is the best rookie for 2018, 2019. But I just wonder, because of what the Atlanta Hawks are allowing Trae Young to do now, and he is in such a groove, can they stop that momentum?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of stopping Trae Young and kind of just, they're going to play it out. I think they understand. And I see what you're saying. And I've wondered exactly the same thing when it came to Luka, because of where Dallas is right now. Same thing. Can they do LeBron where they're like, the rest of the season, Luka, you're not going to play any back-to-back games, and we're going to be giving you some time off. because they do want to have him basically preserve him for a great stretch or a great season next year, not stretch, but a great season next year alongside Porzingis. I think they're really looking at those two as a dynamic duo for years to come. Both in their early 20s, or Luka's 19. This is a real thing. So I think Atlanta's in a different situation because Atlanta, we all know why they made the deal to begin with. They thought Trae Young was going to be more exciting and was going to be able to sell more tickets than Luka Doncic, at least initially. So for what it's worth, these last 16 games or whatever it is, and however many home games they have left, Trae Young is going to be out there because they got tickets to sell, and especially with him playing well now down the stretch, they want to ensure that you know what, they can ride their golden child right now for the last couple games that they have.
Well, look, when it comes to the overall game, and we've said this, we've had experts jump on, Luka is that dude. I'm more curious about how much of this is going to translate in us elevating Luka Doncic in those conversations of all-star, right? Like what will help manifest that part of it for me, for a guy like Luka Doncic? Because when you see what you see from Trae Young, he is in a perfect position. And if you really think about it, he's basically the next superstar to take over the Southeast Division, right? In the Atlantic, in the Eastern Conference. There's really nobody right now that anybody's going to be looking for up and down in that division, except for Trae Young, right? Whatchamacallit? Kemba is on his way out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, but
ain't nobody checking for Vucevic. We don't know what we're getting from Gordon, right?
Bradley Beal's taken a huge step with Washington this year. So, in terms of best players in the division, and all the divisions don't really matter anymore, Bradley Beal is probably going to be that. I think.
But it'll be interesting. But you know what? It's going to be interesting to say, and I'm not taking anything away, and I don't want people to think that I'm trying, I don't want to be sounding contradictory. I love Bradley Beal and the potential of what can happen depending on what Washington does for him. They should do right by him. But what I'm saying is if you're telling me that people are going to be checking for somebody, they're going to be checking for Trae Young before they're checking for Bradley Beal. Because Bradley Beal has been in this game. Bradley Beal has been in this game. Now they're just going to be used to, can Bradley Beal be the John Wall of that team? Right? Like the way that he plays his game, can it translate to the excitement that everyone had when John Wall was a Washington Wizard? I think people are already there with that with Trae Young in Atlanta. And people are starving for Atlanta to legitimize themselves again. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody wants to see 2 Chainz, T.I., and Luda at basketball games on a regular basis. And he might actually be that dude that can start bringing them to that. You know what I'm saying? If he's going to continue to play this kind of way.
And he does play with Luka is great, and Luka has flair. So neither one of these guys are boring in any way, shape, or form. I think Trae Young's game, as evidenced, versus Chicago Bulls recently, he's just slightly more disrespectful. And it's because he's slight of build. You can think, maybe he has that little man syndrome thing going on or whatever. But, he's jacking up threes from 35 feet away, whatever the case would be, and he's staring you down and stuff like that. That's the type of shit that gets under people's skin. Like it does. It gets people tight. And Luka is not in that way where he's embarrassing.
Yeah, Chris Dunn wasn't feeling him.
Make you feel so. Like, Luka will hit you with a step back, but he hits a three, and you just kind of go on his way. Trae Young is, again, a little bit trying to clown you a little bit out there as well too. And Trae Young's a little bit more impressed with himself than I think Luka is. So in that regard, the flair is just at a different level. They're both exciting guys that people are going to want to see. But because of Trae Young's almost arrogance in some ways, it can be a little bit more controversial and maybe in some ways more fun to watch because you just don't know what's going to happen or how the other teams are going to react to it in that regard.
Are you looking forward to seeing a Trae Young Luka Doncic battle come next season?
I am. I think this they realize that they're going to be compared to each other moving forward. Just to see how their career arches go. Especially where they take their teams. I think Dallas is obviously a little bit ahead because of the return of Porzingis potentially next year. But John Collins is no slouch, and I think Trae Young and Collins and if Atlanta's able to add another guy or two, they're going to be right there and, back competing in the Eastern Conference that isn't as deep as the West. So that's the biggest thing, that Dallas is just they have a steeper cliff to climb because the West is so much more deep and stressful than the Eastern Conference, especially where Atlanta's coming from in the South.
All right. So final thought on this. When it's all said and done, is the Don walking scot-free, or are you turning state's evidence and saying Trae Young is going to take the Rookie of the Year?
Luka still got it, man. Overall numbers still real chunky. But
because I know it's hard. I know it's hard for you to relent on the idea and say, hey man, Cal be making some nice picks, man. So I gotta get him every few opportunities I can, because you are the you're the great Warrendini of this of this prediction stuff. So I gotta get a couple of him whenever I can.
Nah, man. Yeah, I think spot on with Luka. He's that dude. He's gonna run away with it, I think. Well, maybe he won't run away, but there's no doubt who's finishing first and second. Let's put it that way. DeAndre Ayton, as good as he's been, I can't imagine that he'd get first or even second place votes when it comes to this. And if he does, you probably want to check whoever voted in that. It's probably definitely somebody.
And then take their privileges, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, again,
I renounce your privileges. You shall vote no more.
All that, but like, let's keep it 100 here. These two guys have just been electric. Especially as Trae Young has come on here in the second part of the season.
Most definitely. You're tuned to The Baseline. Cal Lee, Warren Shaw discussing the hot button topics of the NBA. And this was The Drop.
Coast to coast.
Time to go coast to coast discussing the news in the association. You ready to rock and roll, Mr. Shaw?
Absolutely, man. Let's ride.
All right. Drew Holiday is definitely now on a holiday. He's out 7 to 10 days for the Pelicans. Not that I think it's going to change the outcome of their season, but still, nonetheless, Holiday out, man. It's a bummer.
Yeah, and I think for New Orleans fans who are already dealing with the Anthony Davis situation, now the team's second best player who was playing technically the most minutes, he's going to be out, and I'd be stunned and amazed if we saw him again this year. I mean, what are they really playing for? So shouts to Drew Holiday and everything he's done, being a stand-up individual on that team and organization. Hopefully he's back soon. Doesn't sound like something that's going to be serious regardless, but again, stunned if he comes back at all this year.
As if the Golden State Warriors need a reason to relive the good old days, they decided to go ahead and sign up Andrew Bogut back to the squad. I kind of like this move, man. I mean, I was kind of missing the Bogues wearing blue and gold.
And who says he can't come home again, right? I thought with the addition of KD and Bogut,
it wasn't like it was his fault that they lost that championship.
I remember he and Harrison Barnes both were kind of tweeting like, oh, it seemed like they were a little bit salty, but hey, again, he's back here now. After some stints overseas, he had that, I guess, year where he tried to play with the Cavs and then got bought out and then ended up playing like 30 seconds and got hurt. So glad to see Bogut back in the league, man, and back to seeing him go.
All beef needs salt, man. Beef always is good with salt. A little salt don't hurt nobody. Finally,
I'm gonna laugh if Bogut is. Imagine Bogut stays and Kevin Durant leaves next year. Like,
you talk about a switch, right? Talk about what a switch. Out in Atlanta, Tyler Zeller says, "You know what? I want to run with the Hawks." So the Atlanta Hawks decide to sign up Tyler Zeller. Good move for the Hawks.
I think it's a nice move for Atlanta. Zeller, 10-day contract. We'll see how many minutes he gets in that time. And really exactly he'll play. I mean, Alex Len is still there, soaking up 2 minutes. Obviously, Collins is out there soaking up a lot of minutes in that front court. But overall, and Deadman as well, too. So we'll see how many minutes he gets. I'm surprised that they didn't catch on somebody's bench already. So shouts to Atlanta for giving him a shot. We'll see how it goes the rest of the year.
I just hope that this isn't another sign for Alex Len, man. When you start signing bigs, man, you start looking at dudes that are on that roster already. You be like, damn, man, Alex Len on that roster. Start looking at them minutes, boy. It's about that time. Finally, Shaw. Adam Silver has stated that the All-Star game still is not working with Sloan Sports, with the Sloan Sports Conference. When are they gonna get together and make things happen, man?
Who knows, but the fact they said is like they put earrings on a pig, I think was his direct quote. when it comes to the All-Star game and its new format. I think this one had the lowest ratings it's had in X amount of years right now. So, and I mean, we can even be honest, we were watching it. It was kind of more like ambient noise that was going on compared to the rest of the weekend, because the weekend itself is still very worthwhile. But by the time you get to Sunday in the game, people are just kind of like, all right, whatever. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm sure the rules and the competition committee will be having plenty of meetings for him to, especially when he makes a statement like that at Sloan Sports Conference, and the commissioner is not happy with his product.
Yeah, and look, it's always a work in progress. But I think that they do need to definitely invest more time and energy in really looking at the the in its totality rather than I just feel like it's always on a year by year basis that they're doing this, and I think where the NBA has thrived is being more innovative and within the trajectory of what they're expecting this weekend to mean and what it's supposed to display and show. And I'm also going to add something to this point, Shaw. I think that they really will do themselves a solid by working with the Sloan Sports through the Sloan Sports Conference and how that has been. It's almost kind of like a Comic-Con phenomenon with how this has grown now. And I think in many respects, the NBA needs to start implementing aspects of that to draw those fans in it more, because I think they're losing their appeal just from the pure sports aspects of it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward with that. But yeah, this every year, kind of looking back, and I don't think it's working. I think that they need to be more forward thinking in the way that they're approaching this, and it has to include other elements of where the NBA has been thriving outside of just that weekend in itself. This has been an awesome show once again, my brother. A lot of good conversation and talk. We all hailed the king. We almost tried to dethrone the king. and somewhere along the lines as well too, man, we made it a point to be talking about the future of the NBA with the rookies Trae Young and Luka Doncic.
Yeah, man, awesome, great content. And I hope our fans, which as always, that they enjoyed it. So we look to continue to bring you the best content possible out there, changing up the topics here and there as well too. So I'm enjoying our show. Hope our fans and listeners are as well, as always. And we'll definitely catch up with everybody next time. Playoffs are just a couple of weeks away. So we're talking about that race for 8 here in both conferences, I think, in a little bit. And we'll bring back a couple other dope segments that we look to put on our show.
Oh yeah, we got a nice theme. We're not going to tell you. We're going to keep you. We're going to keep you clamoring. We're going to keep you guessing on it. But we got a nice theme for this year's playoffs. So keep us locked here on the Baseline NBA podcast. And once again, we always appreciate your thoughts. So be sure to get at us on Twitter at NBA Baseline. For the Baseline, Cal Lee, Warren Shaw. We appreciate you guys. We do. And we'll catch up with you next time.